Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you do have a seat, please take one. If not, please find one and have a seat. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gloria Rasso-Tate, and I am the president of the Cape Coral Historical Society. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out here today. This is what we call a private party because of what we're going through in this nation. We have a small reception inside. We are being broadcast on Cape TV, Channel 98. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for making that happen. And we are also doing Facebook Live on the Cape Coral Historical Museum page. So if you know anyone that wants to watch, please text them and let them know that we are going live. At this time, I'd like to introduce Kyra Everly. She's going to sing the national anthem followed by the pledge. If you would please stand if you're able.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars thrill the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming. How the rockets glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Chief
Give Kyra another round of applause. It's so sweet. If you're just arriving, please come in and take a seat where possible. We're here today to recognize the efforts of many residents working towards incorporation. Thomas Paine said that voting is the right which all others' rights depend on, and I think you can understand that that's very, very true. This is election day in Cape Coral, just like all over Lee County, just like it was 50 years ago on August 18th, when the citizens of Cape Coral came together to vote to incorporate, now known as the City of Cape Coral. A mayor and city council were elected, followed by the Cape Coral Police Department and the Cape Coral Fire Department. At this time, please give a round of applause to Chief David Newland and Fire Chief Ryan Lamb, for keeping our citizens safe and secure. Thank you, Chiefs, for being here today. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the Cape Coral Historical Museum team. We're working very hard this year to try to move our museum forward. Remember, if we don't capture the past, record it and store it and save it, y'all won't know where to go in the future, because you have to follow where have you been to go forward. So it's my pleasure to introduce, I am the president. Chuck Warren is our vice president. Linda Biondi, secretary. Andrea Gordillo, treasurer. And our board members, who are supposed to all be up here, Brian Bartos, Laura Cohen, Tom Hayden, Robin Klingler, Eric Feichthaler, Daniel Gutierrez, Ann DeFala, Peter Henderson, Arlen Aiken, and John Frank. Some of them could not be with us today, but we are working very hard. Soon you're going to see a new day for the museum. We're going to be marketing a new logo and really transforming what we stand for in our museum and how we hope to preserve the city's legacy. So please look forward to that. I hope you've had an opportunity to enjoy all of the posters along the wall. They capture what we are here today to celebrate, including the actual vote tally. And you'll notice the vote was very close, just like a lot of things in Cape Coral. Little contentious, but it was solid, and we moved forward. Past President Wendy Schroeder and Kyra Everly, who is sort of taking the reins of Paul Sanborn and Elmer Tabor, creating history all over again if you follow him on Facebook. This is their work, so I'd like to thank them very much for doing so. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the Parks and Rec Department. Without them, this would not be possible today. Carrie Runyon, the department head, Todd King, and Kristen Bean, thank you so much for your assistance. At this time, I'd like to welcome our friend and our mayor, Joe Coviello.
Thank you, Gloria. Before I have just a few words, I do want to thank probably the one who spearheaded and organized this, which is Gloria Tate herself. Let's give her a round of applause. I've never seen her take on an event that hasn't been successful and add to our city. I want to thank her. I also want to thank all of the people over at the Historical Museum for all the support that they've lended to put this on. It's unfortunate that this all happened during the pandemic, because I know many of the events we had planned, like the dedication of the monument that was refurbished down at the foot of the Cape Coral Bridge, was postponed. But I also want to thank Acura Electric, Robert and Anthony Greco for spearheading that, and making sure that that took place, along with the county support in getting that done. Some of that property is still county property as we come in there. They participated in that as well. So thank you for your efforts. And Cape Coral does have a rich history. It dates back in her official incorporation to 1970, when there was a population of approximately 11,500 residents. Now we're approaching 200,000 residents. So we've come a long way in a short 50 years. During this time, we've accomplished many significant milestones. We enjoy outstanding city services across our beautiful municipality, consistently ranked one of the safest cities in the state of Florida. Cape Coral is a great place to raise a family or retire. The city continues to expand on our strong foundation with infrastructure improvements that will propel us into the next 50 years and beyond. The hard work and dedication of our city employees, our first responders, our local business leaders, the residents have made this all possible. I'm mindful of our past and very optimistic about our future. One of the reasons I'm optimistic about our future is the hiring of our new city manager, Fernandez, who's sitting over to my right. I want to welcome him to our city. And I know with his leadership and background, there are great things to come. And I want to just finish up by saying the best is yet to come. Thank you.
In my haste to move through the program, I forgot to mention a key component of our museum and society, which is Janelle Troll, our executive director. So Janelle, there she is. It's under her leadership that we are definitely moving forward. At this time, I'd like to welcome a man who has just been introduced, Mr. Rob Hernandez, our city manager for the city of Cape Coral.
Thank you, Gloria. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your warm welcome. Thank you to the Cape Coral Historical Society, the Historical Museum, and city staff for putting together today's event. You know, I'm very excited to be here, not only as your new city manager. Can you hear me okay? Or do I need to put this up closer? Put it closer? Okay. Not only because I'm beginning my term as your city manager, but because I'm probably, judging by everyone here today, Cape Coral's newest resident. I'm very excited to be here because I've been coming to Cape Coral probably for the last 14 years or so. My sister used to live off of Del Prado Boulevard, and when we would come visit her, I would get excited, and it was so different than living on the east coast of this state. And I would be absolutely blown away by the quality of the neighborhoods, the friendliness of the people that lived here, and of course the abundance of all the waterways to take advantage of, to go boating, to watch the manatees, go fishing, and so forth. So when the opportunity came up recently for this position, I put my hat in the ring, because it's something that I certainly looked at 8 years ago when you hired Mr. Zerlag. But, you know, it's all about timing. And so I wasn't ready then, but here we are today, and we're here celebrating the city's 50th anniversary. Got it? Something always goes wrong when I'm asked to speak. I don't know what it is. All right. So let's talk for a moment about what's happened in the last 50 years. And we know that the growth that has happened in Cape Coral has absolutely been remarkable. Just 50 years ago, when the city appointed its first city manager, a gentleman by the name of Cliff Ryan, to oversee the day-to-day operations of the city, the population was about 10,000, more or less, right? And now think about it. Here we are today, 50 years later. I'm beginning my term as the 14th city manager in the city's history. That's not bad. It shows stability and continuity in terms of city administrators. And our population now is approaching 200,000 residents. And what started as a smaller community, pretty much in the area of where Cape Coral Parkway is today, we now extend all the way north to almost the county line. That's remarkable. So as a city manager, a city administrator, I will bet you that my goals and my desires for this great city mirror the goals and desires of your first city manager. And that is, this is a fantastic water wonderland, right? As the city has often been described. We know that we want a safe city, a clean city. We know that we want a community that is a great place for our families to live, work, and recreate. It's the same today in 2020 as it was in 1970. Ensuring that our residents and our businesses have an exceptional quality of life and an opportunity to thrive, I'm sure was well in Mr. Ryan's desires as it is mine. You know, the mayor mentioned the importance of expanding our infrastructure, and that is certainly something that, as your city administrator and taking my cues from your elected officials, we will continue to do. And we need to continue to do that in order to sustain the city's economic viability. In order to attract new industries and new investment, we have to make sure that we've got that infrastructure in place. And today it's no longer just about roads. It's no longer just about water and sewer and irrigation. We're also talking about parks as infrastructure, and we're talking about broadband technology as infrastructure. All of those things are very, very important as our city prepares to move into its next 50-year chapter. We must continue our expansion of technology in municipal operations as we move forward. Think about it today. 50 years ago, I think we had one patrol vehicle, which was a station wagon that also doubled as the ambulance. Today, our police officers, basically their office is their vehicle. They're equipped with the latest technology, everything from license plate readers to laptops to body-worn cameras. Who would have thought 50 years ago we would be at that point today? And can we possibly envision of what the technology holds in store for the next 50 years? We don't know, but we need to make sure that as a city government, we are positioned to incorporate those new technologies in the way we operate, in the way we provide service to you, our customers, our residents, our neighbors, so that we can make sure that we are efficient and effective in providing government services. Ultimately, my goal as your city administrator and working with your city commission is to ensure that your city government continues to be viewed as transparent, responsive, efficient, but most importantly, helpful to all of you. We don't want to be in your way. We don't want to prevent you from accomplishing what you set forth to accomplish. Our job is to help get you there and to maneuver through the variety of regulations that are imposed upon us by the state and local ordinances and so forth. But together, we'll get there. We know that after 50 years, the city has still a lot of room to grow, and we'll ensure that we'll do our jobs properly to make sure that the city continues to grow properly over the next 50 years. But perhaps what's interesting today, and certainly was not the case when Mr. Ryan became city manager, now we have to think about redevelopment. And so after 50 years, we've got areas in the city, notably on the south side, that's primed for smart redevelopment to make sure that we are positioned for our next 50 years. And we're getting there. We've got a CRA, we've got a lot of interest in the area, and we'll need to make sure that we get there. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for being here. And let me tell you that on behalf of myself and my wife, Mercy, and our 2 dogs, we are proud to be Cape Coral's newest residents, property owners, and part of Cape Coral's new history. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a lot of special guests here today and elected officials. So at this time, please help me welcome Representative Dane Eagle. New dad. Would you like to come up and say a few words, or do you? No worries.
Thank you all for being here, and I just really want to come up and thank everyone for putting this together, especially Gloria and the museum. If you look over here, we have a very nice letter from Governor Ron DeSantis, a tribute from myself, but primarily the letter from Governor Ron DeSantis, which he presented in January when we had the first celebration. We wouldn't have that without Gloria's tenacity. In fact, she had been emailing me once a week for the past several months, trying to get the governor here personally today. He's pretty busy with COVID and the response, but I did talk to him this morning, and he does send his best wishes and wishes, of course, he could be here to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this great city. Having been born and raised here, it's been tremendous to see the growth and everything that's been happening. I can't date back to 50 years, but being born in '83, going to Pelican Elementary, living in Southwest Cape Coral, which back then looked like the far reaches of North Cape Coral, my mom would send me and my sister out to our friend's house down the street, and it was the only house down the street, so you could run across the fields and know that you're safe because there's nothing else going on. So it's been amazing to see this growth. I'm so proud of the city, and it takes great community leaders like Gloria, like the board members at the museum, like all the people here, and like our elected officials. So I look forward to 50 years and beyond of Cape Coral to go. And as Gloria said earlier, there are close elections. 300 votes was what passed this. It is election day, so make sure you get out and vote. Thank you all very much.
Representative Spencer Roach, did I miss him? He said he was attending today. Yeah, well, he has a busy day as well. We now have several of our county commissioners. I'd like to introduce District 1, John Manning.
Thank you, Gloria. I served on the city council in 1982, 38 years ago. My job was made a lot easier when a guy by the name of Mazurkowitz was elected mayor next year. I served 2 terms. They were 2-year terms back then, and I don't know what they are now. 4 years. Okay, thank you. I want to wish the city of Cape Coral 50 more years of prosperity. Mayor, thank you very much for this, and the rest of the commission, and Gloria, thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. Commissioner Pendergrass, did you want to come up and say a few words? followed by Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Mann. I don't think Commissioner Sandelli is here.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you all for being here this morning. What a celebration. Bruce, thank you for your commission service, too. Bruce was on the county commission back 50 years ago this occurred. And as a lifetime resident of Lee County, I wasn't born in the Cape, like Commissioner Hammond and Dane was, but I was born across the river 57 years ago. So I remember coming out here when I was like 6 years old, taking the tours in the little vans, trying to get my parents to buy property, $20 a month for a lot. But what a tremendous growth. But what made it so great is, like Dane said, was the people, the community coming together, the elected officials over the last 50 years. Thank you, Commissioner Manning, for your service there for our whole county and the city, because that's what made this such a great community. The people are really here now. So thank you again, and happy birthday, Cape Coral.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brian Hammond, who's the chair of the Lee County Commission today.
First of all, Gloria, thank you very much. What an event. Thank you very much, Gloria. I will tell you, I was born and raised here in Cape Coral, grew up and went to Cape Elementary School. My dad's been here since elementary school. Commissioner Scott, thank you for being here on day one. It's an honor to be here as a Cape Coral native now on year 50, upholding the legacy. I want to tell you, I see so many friends here. It's really humbling just to be here. Mayor, thank you very much. Mayor Mazurkowitz, who was the mayor when I was a kid. The first ever mayor that I ever heard of was Joe Mazurkowitz. And the first council person when I was 2 years old, by the way, John Manning. So I want to say thank you. I wish you 50 years of prosperity. My family is looking forward to spending the next 50 years here in Cape Coral with all of you.
Thank you, Brian. Commissioner Mann, who crossed the bridge as well.
Thank you, Gloria. And what a special, exciting day this is for me. I remember well 1970, but I also remember 1957 when my brother and I would spend the night about 200 yards from where we are right this moment in a little bunkhouse, because my daddy had a ranch here. He had 1 square mile. He had bought a section from Gerald Moody. You old timers remember Moody Road, and that's the Moody. He paid $40 an acre for it. And they said, "Why did you sell it, George?" "Well, they gave me $325 when Gulf American Corporation bought it." So we were here when Cape Coral was born. What a dynamic place to have witnessed, from the few thousands that were here to the nearly 200 today. And the great leadership, Joe Mazurkowitz, I say this with no apologies, greatest mayor that ever lived. And what a joy to be with you. I'm so happy for everybody in the Cape, and God bless you in another 50 years.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize Therese Everly from the Cape Coral Hospital. She is our board member representing Cape Coral. Therese, did you want to say something? Thank you. Cape Coral Hospital is our jewel, and we appreciate you being here. At this time, I'd like to recognize the city council members, and if you all would like to say something, please come up. I know there is Council Member Lois Welch, Council Member John Gunter, Council Member Marilyn Stout, and Councilmember Jennifer Nelson. I don't believe I missed anyone. Oh, and Councilmember Jessica Cosden came. Yay! Thank you all very much for attending today. Well, we have a very special guest with us today. I hunted him down like I was a police criminal looking for like a detective looking for a criminal. Mr. Scott, I hunted you down on Facebook, through Lee County, through your son, and finally found you. So Mr. Scott was the chairman of the Lee County Commission in 1970. He swore in the original mayor and city council. And he's still here today living in North Fort Myers. Mr. Scott, please come up.
Boy, what a nice looking crowd. You look as good, except for that fat little commissioner over there. But I'm telling you, we can't start to believe that we are here 50 years later with a beautiful community filled with wonderful people. Now, it wasn't an easy road to get here. As a matter of fact, it's been mentioned to you that how close the election was to go to incorporate or not. Some of the people felt like, well, maybe we're jumping out of the pan into the fire. Others felt like that they wanted to be governed by themselves, as we all do. And so it did. Now, most of the time, we've talked about, so far, about the future since the 50 years. Let me give you a little bit of background that you might be interested in. Back in the 1800s, we were at war with the inhabitants of the state of Florida. It was the Calusa and the Seminole Indians. There was no Fort Myers, but then there was a fort built along the Caloosahatchee River, and then the colonel that was head of that fort to fight the Indians who were deep into the Everglades was Colonel Abraham Myers. So in 1841, the Remove the Indians Act was endorsed and incorporated, and the governor and the colonel, they brought peace to the state of Florida. In 1841, they passed the law to remove the Indians from Florida, with a certain amount being able to remain. And you might have thought that was bad, but you know what? Those people stuck it out, and I'm telling you folks, you don't know how the mosquitoes work. They were thick as flies, or thicker. But right now, today, they're not in too bad a shape. I never knew this, but they are receiving, man, women, and children, $7,000 per month. That includes the children, or that's $84,000 a year. Even children are getting it. So we're taking good care of them. We might have been very bad to them at first, but we're taking care of them now. It's a pleasure for me that I'm on this side of the grass 50 years later after I was honored, because Cape Coral was a friend of mine, and there was an editorial written that Bruce Scott is a friend of Cape Coral. It's never changed. My daughter, who left the area in her early 20s, came, and about a few months ago is now a property. What? You better wind it up. That tells me it's time to go. Well, she's a resident, and thank you for listening.
Okay, we have the most important part of our ceremony, so if you would just hang in there while the sprinklers get turned off, or move somewhere where you won't get wet. I'm very sorry about that, but, things happen in the city. So, the sprinkler system, so it is what it is. So, yeah, I'd like to call up Mayor Joe Mazurkowitz and have him address us today in regards to the incorporation, how we voted, what our history says about us, and then he'll have some special way to recognize it. Joe, look, we're standing over the water.
It's amazing when it's my turn to speak, dual water starts spraying all over the place. All right. 50 years ago, in the lives of us as individuals, seems like a long time ago, but in the life of a city, it is but just a moment ago. And 50 years in where Cape Coral was always destined to be is almost a reality today. And what that destiny was 50 years ago is that we were always destined to be the Queen City on the Caloosahatchee, the largest city between Tampa and Miami, the center for population, commerce, culture, recreation, and environment. It's in education. People would think, even back when I was mayor, culture in Cape Coral, really? But it has started to evolve to that today. In 1983, when I was mayor, there was 32,000 people. When I left office, there was 88,000 people. We thought that was pretty quick growth. Today, they're approaching 200,000, and that's only half of our size. Our sheer size of 120 square miles plus, 120 plus square miles, and a built-up population in excess of 400,000 people makes us the powerhouse of Southwest Florida. And if we ever figure that out and vote in block, we will run Lee County. We have had a lot of challenges over the last 50 years, but I have never been so proud of a community. Those of us who came here as children, went to school here, became second generation Cape Coralians, and then grew into leadership roles. That was pretty cool. Elma Tabor, Gloria Tate, myself grew up here. And Elmer will tell you, and Gloria will also share, that back then we didn't have just one mom and dad. The whole community was our mom and dad. I know when my mom went to bingo on Thursday night and then on Saturday night at the church, everything I did all week was clearly disclosed to her by her friends at bingo, so I never got away with much. Now, Elmer, on the other hand, got away with a lot. But think about this for a second as we sit here and celebrate our 50th anniversary. The Queen City on the Caloosahatchee, we've come from nothing to today without having those lineage of families. We now are developing the lineage of family. People who now are aspiring to leadership roles in Cape Coral, who not only were born here, but their kids are born here, and they're raising their kids and planning to raise their grandchildren here. That is a unique experience for this community. Imagine what's going to happen in the next 50 years when folks who are invested in this community with their whole life, with their kids' lives, and with their grandchildren's lives. What are they going to do for this community? I just can't wait. And I'm probably, while I don't believe, like the Lee County Electric Co-op franchise agreement, I will be here to do this again 30 years later. I would hope to be here for long enough to see us become that Queen City on the Caloosahatchee, to garner a full university brick and mortar in Cape Coral, to build more cultural activities, the Historical Museum, Cultural Park, build that up, enhance the park system. We already have a great park system. We have an amazing police and fire department. We have enough roads in Cape Coral, if you pave them in a single line, would lead from here to Seattle, Washington. Just think about everything we do in the city of Cape Coral is not only the biggest that they have to do, like the utility expansion project. Every time we do another phase of the utility expansion, it's the largest underground utility project in the country, if not the world. But everything we do is the biggest. And now we have folks who are truly invested, and Cape Coral is now officially people's hometown. Commissioner, you were born here. Dane, you were born here. Jessica Cosden, City Council, was born here. It's your hometown. It's where you're raising your kids and where you'll raise your grandchildren. It is going to be exquisite, and the opportunities are still amazing. And the greatest thing about this city is not how big we are. It's not the amazing things that we've done. The greatest thing about this city is the people who chose to live here, the pioneers who started it, and those of us who followed. It's been an extreme pleasure of my life. Other than the birth of my kids, the most exciting things I've ever been involved with is being involved with the development of this community, and I thank you for the opportunity to share those last 50 years. Thank you. Yeah. Now, I'd like to invite up Lee County Commissioner John Manning, State Representative Dane Eagle, and Lee County Commission Chairman from 1970, Bruce J. Scott, to re-sign the original Department of State document where it says, I, George Firestone, Secretary of State of the State of Florida, do hereby certify the above and foregoing is a true and correct copy of Chapter 70-623 Laws of Florida Act of 1970, which created the city of Cape Coral as shown by the records of this office. This was dated in 1984 because the original law was made law without signature by the governor. And that just wouldn't do for Cape Coral. So we had the governor and the Secretary of State redo it in 1984. So we had a signed document. We're going to re-sign that document today. Chairman or Commissioner?
They're new pens, John, so hopefully they write. I knew that was going to happen. It's a new pen, so let me, yeah. There you go. Right there. This document will end up at the Cape Coral Museum and the Historical Museum, and we will frame it along with all of our posters, and we welcome you to come anytime to the museum to learn more about the history. Bring your family, bring your friends. We are running a fire exhibit right now. It's called Behind the Mask, followed by the Cape Coral Police exhibit, which will open in September. To capture the history of the Cape Coral Police Department, followed by the Cape Coral Hospital in January. We will be capturing that in an exhibit. Janelle does a wonderful job with all of those, and we hope the population will come out and really enjoy it.
I was 11 months old when I signed this.
Almost like you're a brand new baby. This is really very, very special. I hope it means as much to you as it does to me, having moved here when I was 9, and you can calculate I'm old, that this is really a historic moment for us, and we should be very, very proud. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. That is a living document. Mr. Mayor, I love the jacket, by the way. Please join us as you go into Public Works building and get something cool to drink and enjoy the refreshments.